tonight with a full-on crisis in our democracy, as federal workers are literally locked out of their offices while operatives working for a private citizen essentially take over our government. Their tactics include turning off our federal websites, deleting government-funded research that you, the taxpayer, paid for to impose speech codes, bullying news organizations by demanding interview transcripts, implementing an FBI purge, locking federal workers out of their computers, and even turning them away at their offices while giving themselves, without congressional or any other authorization, full access to the personal data of tens of millions of Americans, including Social Security recipients, FBI agents and officials, military and government contractors, and every single employee of the federal government. All of that data in private hands that you did not authorize, even if you voted for Donald Trump. This as Trump installs unqualified minions at the heads of every federal agency, knowing that they wouldn't stop this even if they knew how. At least when he's not threatening multiple trade wars or vowing to launch a new age of American imperialism by colonizing the indigenous people of Greenland and the Panama Canal, all while congressional Democrats issue strongly worded letters, plus holding a press conference today, and congressional Republicans sit back and let the federal government they work for collapse all around them, while they occasionally beg Trump for tariff mercy for their states.
USAID has always been akin to Voice of America with money, right? So they go in, they do nation building, they do propaganda, but they do it through these agencies that they're funneling money through. So it's become like a gigantic money laundering scheme, right? And the problem with that is it's our money. It's our money. And I don't care if the children in, Quebecistan don't have teddy bears. I don't care. That's not my point. But from a governmental standpoint, if we really want these kids in Quebecistan to like the Americans, we're going to drop some Hershey bars on them and some coloring books and some other stuff in order to curry favor with these nations. The problem with that is it's not working. We're not currying favor with any of these nations. Buying condoms for people in Gaza has not made the people in Gaza like us. It doesn't work when you're buying friends. And then it became a political slush fund. And that's when the rubber really met the road. Shout out to Elon, who's doing like his level best to lock stuff down. But it's been a long time coming. This is not a secret. People around the swamp have long known that this is where, certain wink, wink, nod, nod, NGOs get large checks to do very little, if any, work.
Yeah.
Well, look, my frustration with USAID goes back to my time in Congress. It's a completely unresponsive agency. It's supposed to respond to policy directives of the State Department, and it refuses to do so. So the functions of USAID, there are a lot of functions of USAID that are going to continue, that are going to be part of American foreign policy, but it has to be aligned with American foreign policy. I said very clearly during my confirmation hearing that every dollar we spend and every program we fund, that will be aligned with the national interest of the United States. And USAID has a history of sort of ignoring that and deciding that there's somehow a global charity separate from the national interest. These are taxpayer dollars. And so I'm very troubled by these reports that they've been unwilling to cooperate with people who are asking simple questions about what does this program do, who gets the money, who are our contractors, who's funded. And that sort of level of insubordination makes it impossible to conduct the sort of mature and serious review that I think foreign aid writ large should have. We're spending taxpayer money here. These are not donor dollars. These are taxpayer dollars. And we owe the American people the assurances that every dollar we are spending abroad is being spent on something that furthers our national interest. And so far, a lot of the people that work at USAID have just simply refused to cooperate.
Are you currently in charge of USAID? Or are you
I'm the acting director of USAID. I've delegated that authority to someone, but I stay in touch with him. And again, our goal was to go in and align our foreign aid to the national interest. But if you go to mission after mission and embassy after embassy around the world, you will often find that in many cases, USAID is involved in programs that run counter to what we're trying to do in our national strategy.
Wow. So he was right. Now they did find out that 97% of political contributions from USAID employees went to Democrats. So I want to open this up to you all. What are your thoughts on this, Shelley?
We should note, again, and you and I have said this in the air many times, there is no evidence that Joe Biden was, involved in any wrongdoing.
Of course, want to note that there is no evidence that Joe Biden or Hunter Biden has done anything wrong.
I just want to reiterate.
And let's be clear for the viewers.
There is no evidence Biden did anything wrong.
Governor, you got a second?
Literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
This is why independent media is so important. Thanks to people like you, patriots who love America and stand for truth, we're making a difference. Together, we've turned them off, called them out for their lies and propaganda, and held them accountable for their disdain for God-fearing, freedom-loving Americans like us. But we can't stop here. It's time to take action with our dollars. Let's make 2025 the year we double down on our commitment to values-driven choices. Vote with your dollars. Support Made in America. Back companies that honor our families, faith, and country. We found an exciting way to make this switch, and we want you to join us. Check out www.popandswitch.com and click Yes, I Want to Make the Switch. It's that easy. It's time to walk away from corporations like BlackRock and Vanguard that undermine our principles. Let's invest in America. Let's support businesses that share our love for this country. You don't have to take on everything at once, but you can start here. Join us in making this one small yet powerful step. Visit www.popandswitch.com. Click the link and schedule a call with our team to learn how you can make the switch. Together, we can create real change.
Remember the protesters at the universities when October the 7th happened and they were shouting, "We shut shit down, we shut shit down." Well, I say shut shit down. The USAID. I'm not upset about it. Again, it's supposed to be for international development or humanitarian crisis. We can strategically support and subsidize, if you will, some humanitarian events. But this is a whole $70+ billion a year agency. What are we getting for it? What have we gotten for it? Except more debt. Every year the price goes up that we pay, and we can't even account for it. Most of the money, I was listening to Marco Rubio with Megyn Kelly. Most of the money is going to other, like you said, Democratic parties, other agencies, or administrative costs. Where is our money? Bring it home. Shut shit down.
Yeah. I do want to acknowledge these super chatters before I bring you in, Nicole. All right. Thank you all so much. Rico Wright says we have a lot of people that aren't working. Have them pick fruit if they want government assistance. Also, turn the border into a military base. All right, Rico. Thank you so much for your $5 super chat. We certainly appreciate it. Yeah. Tyrone, what are your thoughts on this USAID?
This is another reason why the powers that be don't want to go to a tariff arrangement in lieu of a tax arrangement, because see, they can rob us, which they've been doing since 1913, and actually accelerating that robbery, and use our hard-earned taxpayer dollars, funnel them outside of this country, and then what they'll do, like in the case of Bill Kristol, this so-called conservative that runs all these little conservative think tanks, they'll give him money. He'll make contributions to certain politicians as a kickback. This all needs to be thoroughly investigated. Then what he'll do is he'll send money to various agencies that he's supposed to, and he'll cut himself a fat salary. Okay. USAID has $50 billion to play with annually. The combined budget for all of the intelligence agencies in the country is $72 billion. USAID is getting more money than the CIA. Okay. And is leaving this country, then coming back in the form of kickbacks and salaries to well-placed individuals. Our money.
Yeah. It's terrible. In the 2024 election cycle, according to the Daily Wire, USAID staff made a total of $406,790 in political contributions, according to data collected on Open Secrets. More than half of that, $241,079, went to the former Vice President Kamala Harris. Only $999, a quarter of a percent, went to President Trump. So basically, these numbers highlight that the politicians are biased. The political class is biased, and Trump and his team have said they need to root out this kind of stuff from USAID. And so that's why today he said that the agency would, and its $50 billion annual budget would run by radical left lunatics who went crazy during the Biden administration. That's quoted by what President Trump said. So I'm hoping that they do get into this and root it all out. Another headline that was recently made by President Trump is, according to ABC News, he could sign an executive order any day now directing the Secretary of Education to dismantle the Federal Department of Education. This is according to sources briefed on drafts of the order. The proposed order gutting the agency is expected to call for the Education Secretary to submit a proposal for dismantling the department and for Congress to pass legislation to get rid of it. So, Nicole, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's a good idea?
I love Linda McMahon. I love her. I love her spirit. I love her business acumen. I love that she's tough like a man and feminine like the most beautiful woman. And she is the person who's going to save the good things about the Department of Education. There are a few. And she is going to take down, all of the CRT, all of the power of the union that dictates what children don't learn in school. She's the person who can do this and do it well. She's fearless. Absolutely fearless. And yes, I know that name McMahon sounds familiar. If you're a WWE fan, her husband Vince and her took greasy, muscled men and made billions.
Yeah.
She's the woman who can take it apart. But we do need to have a reckoning. Some of the things that are happening in this country, people outside of the DC area don't really hear about quite often. But when you hear that Elon is shutting down computer systems of federal agencies because they're deleting things and moving things, he's doing that for a reason. He's absolutely locking this stuff down the same way Trump said when they were dismantling DEI, do not shred one document. Do not. Because it's one thing to kill off the leaves. We got to get it at the root. And that's what's happening with USAID. They have to get it to the root. It's going to be the same thing that's going to happen at the IRS. They have to get it to the root. The Department of Education, the same thing. Get it to the root and then move it to where it belongs if it's still going to be an agency. But, the Carter administration made a horrible, horrible misstep with the Department of Education. It's been a loser organization from day one.
Yeah, rooter to the tutor. And soldiers of finance. So, you do have the left saying that if the Department of Education is removed, then we will, local places will lose funding for things like IEPs, for things like, all those types of things. And it's a bad thing to happen. They're saying that it was the Department of Education, the federal Department of Education, that helped to integrate schools and, stop racism amongst the schools across the country. How do you respond to that?
Well, that's certainly not true.
Exactly.
But it doesn't surprise me that they don't know their history. The Department of Education was established in 1979. Schools were integrated well before that. Every metric in this country that has to do with education has fallen since 1979. Yes. We're not even in the top 10 as ranked internationally with regard to our reading, writing, and arithmetic scores. We're not ready for the middle part of the 21st century. in terms of turning out a workforce that is technically competent or even able to write a coherent sentence. So why do we beyond the make work jobs that it has created, there's no other give this back to the states and the localities. Let them keep that portion of the tax money that they are sending up to. We don't need a Department of Education to receive tax money and then send it back and acting like they're doing something, magnificent. So I'm all for it. Get rid of it tomorrow.
But
I was going to say similar, Tyrone. It's again, I'm going to put it in bottom line, real local terms. Do you, any of us or anybody that we know, do you think it's better that you make your money and then you give it to someone else and they tell you, oh, we're going to, like you said, we're going to give it back to you this much, or even a percentage of it, a portion of it. And then we're going to decide how it's best to use your money, but you go out there, earn it, make it every day, and then bring it to us. And that's what you should do, because we're the government and we're here to save you, right? We know what's best for you and your family and how to spend your money. Bull crap. Bravo, Sierra. This is the mindset that we talk about on here that has to change. It's not the government's money. The government, I know what we say and what we mean when we say the government, but the government is really people that we elect supposedly to manage the necessities of what the government is supposed to do, not manage our lives, not manage our children, not manage what refrigerator we buy or what car we drive. That's not the government's role. That it's beyond the scope and the boundaries of what it's supposed to be. And again, I know I've been sick and tired of it for a long time, and thankfully more and more Americans are as well. They are waking up, and thankfully even more, we have President Trump and his administration spearheading it all.
Yeah.